question that was in your mailbag this week was about Deuce and whether or not he could get to 2,000 all-purpose yards, which I'm with you. That seems way too high. But we were having a discussion the other day about pure rushing yards. So if you extrapolate Deuce's numbers out to a full season, he would have been on pace last year for it was like 832 rushing yards.
Okay.
Do you think he winds up hitting 1,000 rushing yards this upcoming year? Because Mitch and I disagree. Mitch thinks that he will. I think that he won't because he has more talent in the backfield theoretically this year now with Joe Irvin. And then we've heard good things about Jacardier Wright, hopefully getting back on track. It's more talent than Harry Trotter to take some other carries. I think they'll still try and use him more in the passing game. And now he has a quarterback that should be able to consistently get him the ball throughout the year. I would just anticipate that we see more carries, or at least about the same carries from the supplementary backs, and that he'll be used even more in the passing game. So I think he could be just as dynamic, if not more dynamic, but still not hit 1,000 rushing yards.
Yeah, 1,000 is kind of a big number for me, just because the only other time I've seen a K-State running back do it was John Hubert, and that was only even one time that he got to 1,000 yards. It's it's just for every reason. It's well, I take that back. I saw it with Daniel Thomas too. Hubert was the last guy, but Thomas, man, they gave the ball so often to Thomas. I'm surprised he didn't get 3,000 yards some of those years. My goodness. You remember that offense that first year Snyder came back and they gave him the ball?
Man. Yeah, that was all they had. That was all they had.
Talk about a one-man wrecking crew. Okay, sorry for that aside. 1,000 seems a bit much for me. I think they do get him more carries. I think they try to get him involved as much as possible. But I'm with you. He brings a lot of value to the field as a receiver. You can move him to the slot. You can send him out in the flats and get him the ball that way. I just think he's got so many different ways to be utilized. I don't know that they're going to line up and just say, here, take the rock from Skylar and get 1,000 yards. And I think Skylar Thompson coming back hurts his rushing ceiling too, because who do they love to run, more than anybody else on money downs?
In the red zone. Yeah, red zone, man. It's Skylar.
Yeah, if you're like, first and goal from the 5, ball's going to Skylar. 3rd and 2, middle of the field, ball's going to Skylar. It works. That's what they like to do. But with him back out there, I think that hurts and limits his rushing ceiling just a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he does kind of what you said, and you break it out into a whole season, he gets like 800, something like that. But I do think there will be more mouths to feed. I think they'll want to keep Joe Irvin, Jacardier Wright, maybe even Keon Mosey involved. I went back and kind of looked. James Gilbert, he was, their bell cow, or as much of a bell cow as you can have under Kleiman 2 years ago. And he really, on a per game basis, wasn't getting many more carries than Vaughn was last year. And, because of his size, they want to limit Deuce's work as much as they can. He's never going to be like a 30 touch a game guy. So I think all that kind of works against him. I mean, for his sake, I hope he, has like 5,000 yards, but I think it's maybe just a little bit early, and his yards will come in other areas.
Yeah, agreed. Colin Klein, by the way, I started to think about it. I was like, did Klein hit 1,000 yards? Man, that 2011 season, Colin Klein rushed for 1,141 yards and 27.
Yeah, with like 350 carries.
Yeah, 317 carries. My God. How Colin Klein is still a living, breathing human being at this point in 2021 is pretty amazing. But, that's crazy. You add up, Colin Klein had 601 carries in his K-State career.
And there for a little while, you remember, hey, full circle here. You remember the Texas game where it was Colin Klein and Daniel Thomas running the ball every single play?
Yeah. Yeah. They had like
two tanks just leveling everything in front of them.
Yeah, that was nuts, because that was the surprise Colin Klein start, right? Nobody knew Colin was going to start that game. It had been Carson Kaufman, and all of a sudden you show up and it's Colin Klein starting, and then just crush Texas. Yeah.
It was just keeper decline, hand off to Thomas, keeper decline, hand off to Thomas, and Texas could not stop it. That's one of the happiest I ever saw Bill Snyder in a post game setting. He was just beaming that he totally completely pulled a fast one on Texas, and I don't blame him. I'd still be bragging about that to this day if I'd have done that.
What do you think is the happiest? I'm trying to rack my brain right now. Happiest Bill Snyder you ever saw in a post-game press conference? I'll tell you the most upset. The most upset I think I've ever seen him was another Texas game. Remember 2011 Texas? They freaking won. They won the game. But they scored was it 10-7? I mean, it was something ridiculous like that. But he was so mad at them for the way that they played in that game. And he was just hot and short answers in the post-game presser. I just remember being like, damn, man, like, just chill. You won. Like, that's the most upset I can ever remember him being.
The angriest I remember him was there was a game around that same time. No, it'd been, I think the year before that. They beat North Texas at North Texas, but they let
the
I got the media
game.
Here. They won, but they won 49-41. Like, they had all kinds of trouble. I mean, they were giving up kick returns for touchdowns, 80-yard runs for touchdowns. He was just so mad after the game. And that was actually one that pretty much clinched they were going to go to a bowl as their 7th win. So you would have thought there would be some relief, but no, he was pretty mad. The happiest, honestly, this is kind of a wild card. The happiest I remember him being was, remember when they beat Paul Rhodes and Iowa State here with those late game theatrics.
2015, yeah.
They had no business winning. I mean, really, all Iowa State had to do was just take a knee, and they were going to win. And then K-State comes back and wins. That was probably as happy as I remember seeing him after the game, just because he was, I don't know, it was completely unexpected. They all thought they were going to lose, and then in 2 minutes it swings back around, they win. That was honestly as happy as I'd seen him joking and stuff after the game.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good one. All right, Kellis. We appreciate the time. Go read Kellis's Q&A. Follow him on Twitter at Kellis Robinett, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thanks, John. See you then.